Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel. So I have recently got back from seeing Taylor Swift at the Eras tour in Liverpool and I genuinely had the time of my life. I thought I'd just do a video on my experience of the whole tour and also just kind of give some tips and advice if any of you are seeing Taylor Swift at the Eras tour soon. One thing I really loved about seeing Taylor in Liverpool was that Liverpool put on so much ready for Taylor. Everywhere me and my partner walked, there was Taylor Swift playing and it just got us so excited for the concert. They also had the Taylor Town Trail, which was basically different art installations based on each era, and they were just incredible. We didn't have loads of time to explore Liverpool, but we did go around and do some of the trail. I think we only missed 3 on the trail, which was Debut, Fearless and Lover. Those were the ones that were the most out of the way, but we managed to do most of them, which I really liked. These art installations did get quite busy, but luckily on the day after the concert, it was a bit quieter, so I was able to get photos of most of them. It was just such a fun way to meet other Swifties, trade some friendship bracelets, and also just to kind of get excited for the concert and celebrate Taylor and her music. In terms of the actual concert, I cannot put into words how much I enjoyed it. I was literally a sobbing mess. This is the first time I've ever seen Taylor and I've been waiting for it for a very long time, so it was just such an amazing experience. At the time of booking the tickets, we didn't have a lot of money to spend on the tickets, so we actually got some of the cheapest seats. This was literally right in the nosebleeds, a side view, and to be fair, I would not change a thing about that. Right in front of us, we had the screen, so we could clearly see her when she was being filmed, but also we had like the entire staging to the side, and we could see literally everything. The only thing we couldn't really see was like the head-on view of the stage, but I didn't really mind that because she didn't spend that much time actually on that part of the stage. So if you're going and you've got a side view or you're in the nosebleeds at all, I would not worry about your view because we ended up paying just over £100 each for our tickets, which were the cheapest tickets, and we still had an amazing view and an amazing time. And sadly, I saw a lot of Facebook posts about people that had paid VIP prices, like £300 and up, for seats that have like a massive tent in front of them and then they couldn't see anything. And when they tried to complain and get moved, they were told that there was no other room for them to move to. I would be absolutely gutted if that had happened to me, especially after spending that much money and getting so excited. So I feel really privileged with the view that we got, especially for the price. We also were on the side of the singers, and before Taylor came on, during applause, they came and they were dancing and they were getting us all geared up ready for the show, and it was just amazing. They all came, all the dancers and the singers came to wave and sing along with us, and it was just such a great atmosphere. So now I'll start off with some of the advice that I've got. I really wish that I knew some of this before I saw her. So hopefully this kind of helps some of you if you're going to see her, and not even necessarily just Taylor, for other concerts as well. So my first point is to be confident and ask to trade bracelets. If you have made bracelets, then you need to be confident and ask other people if they want to trade. I know it's really scary, I was absolutely petrified, but trading bracelets was one of the most fun things I've done, and it was a really good way to pass the time as well whilst you're waiting for Paramore and Taylor to come on. Whilst I was doing the Taylor trail, I actually traded some bracelets with Swifties then as well, which was really fun. I had made 70 bracelets and I came back with 36, so I traded just under half of my bracelets. And that's mainly because I was absolutely petrified to approach anyone and ask if they wanted to trade. I was sat in my seat for a while before even Paramore came on, and I was just sat there looking at my bracelets, being so nervous to ask anyone. But eventually I got the confidence and I stood up, moved around in my section and asked people if they wanted to trade bracelets. And everyone was so happy to do so. I'm wearing a few of my bracelets now that I've traded, but I've also got this massive bag full of them, and it was just such a fun experience and so nice to be able to talk to other Swifties. A lot of Swifties like asked if there was a particular bracelet of theirs that I wanted, which was nice, but I kind of just always said I'm happy for anything. Another tip I have regarding bracelets is if you don't want to trade any of the ones that you're given, I'd make sure that they are put in a separate area to the ones that you have made and want to trade yourself. So I know that some people were trading using carabiners, but what I actually did was I had a bag that said Taylor Swift The Eras Tour, and I put all of the bracelets that I had made in that bag. And then any bracelets that I received from somebody else, I would put on my wrist. So this basically made sure that I wasn't trading any of the bracelets that I had been given by somebody else, because I wanted to make sure that I kept all the ones that were given to me and that I was only trading the ones that I had made myself. And it was quite nice as well because I kind of gave people the opportunity to look through the bag if there was a particular bracelet they wanted, or they could just do a lucky dip if they went first. The bracelets were such a fun talking point amongst the Swifties, and it was just a really fun experience. So if you've made bracelets, don't be afraid, just go and ask. It is so fun, and I'm sure 99% of the people would say yes to us trading bracelets. I don't think I had one person that didn't want to trade bracelets. The next bit of advice I've got for the Eras Tour is to not be afraid to take pictures. Again, whilst I was sat down for a while, I was scared to take the pictures that I wanted to, just because I feel like, especially when you're sat down, you feel like all the eyes are on you before anyone's come on stage, and you're worried about what people will think of you. But you are there for the experience, and you want to make your experience the best possible. And if you've got the time before the acts come on, why not take some pictures and just capture the moment? Capture it, remember it, as Taylor says. So when I finally got the courage, I got up and took pictures. I did all the hand heart and everything, and I absolutely love the pictures that I took, and I'm so glad I took them. I don't care if people are looking at me because I really enjoyed it, and I'm so glad that I've got those memories to look back on. As great as it is to be in the moment, I think it's really important to capture some memories as well to look back on. This next tip, I don't know if people are going to agree with me on it, but I'm just going to say it and you can kind of make up your own mind about whether you want to take it on board or not. I would seriously consider whether or not you want to queue for merch. I have seen that the queue line for merch can get absolutely ridiculous, and I really don't understand why. The merch is amazing, I do love it, but you can buy it online. I know, with shipping costs and everything, it might be a bit more expensive. I think shipping is usually around £5 in the UK, but I have received emails giving me a discount code after each concert to buy the same merch online that I would be waiting in queues for hours for. I would much rather have more time to get ready and enjoy myself in the morning rather than tiring myself out waiting in hour-long queues just to get some merch that I could then purchase online. And the codes that I've been given are for like 15% off as well. It's not just a couple of pounds, it is a decent amount. So if I want a £70 hoodie, which I definitely do want and will be purchasing, then I can get like at least £10 off just by using this code. The only downside really is I have to wait for it to be shipped, but I'm not really massively concerned about that. I'd rather go through that than have to wait ages in a queue and tire myself out. You can use the merch queues to trade friendship bracelets and things like that, so I'd say that if you do want to stand in the merch queues, then go ahead, don't let me put you off, but I would just seriously consider if it is worth it. If you want to get there early and experience the merch queue, then go for it, but just kind of evaluate your options and see if that's really what you want to do, or if you could be saving money by just ordering it online. I've also seen as well that a lot of people have been queuing and then running out of sizes before they get to their turn, and they seem to have quite decent stock online. So I would just weigh up your options before getting in a really long merch queue and possibly being disappointed. I personally am very glad that I didn't get in the merch queue, because then I had more chance to do the Taylor trail and everything, and I can still order the merch that I want online and for a cheaper price. My next point has definitely been brought up a lot, and that is to plan travelling to and fro the stadium that you're seeing Taylor in advance. I planned the way there, but I did not plan the way back, because I just thought, oh, I'll get my phone out after the concert and see what bus takes us there. Do not do that. The signal at the stadium is atrocious. It is so bad. I could not get through, I could not get on the internet to Google anything, and it was just a bit stressful, to be honest. Travelling to the stadium actually wasn't too bad. There was a bus stop right around the corner from our hotel, and yes, it was packed and we had to stand up, but it wasn't too long, and it wasn't too long of a walk from the bus stop either to the stadium, so I didn't think it was too bad. However, getting back, it was very busy, and because I hadn't done my prior research, I didn't know where to go or what buses would take us to our hotel. So we actually risked it a little bit, and we saw a queue for the buses that take us into the city centre, and I knew that we weren't too far from the city centre, so we just queued for that bus and got on. Luckily, when I got to the city centre, my phone signal started working again, and then I saw that it was only a 10 to 15 minute walk to our hotel, which wasn't too bad. It did work out well, but you don't want to get yourself in a position where you're stuck. My next point is probably my biggest point, and I do not understand why I did not follow this myself, but wear comfy shoes. I understand that, especially at the Eras tour, your outfit is so important. Like, you just want to have the best time, you want to look the best, you want to get all the cutest photos, you really want to match it to the era that you're going for, but comfy shoes are so important, especially if you're standing. So I was sitting, so I thought, oh, my outfit would go really nice with this navy pair of heels that I've got. These heels aren't even too big either. These are my heels. And honestly, I regret wearing them so much. Even though they were really nice and went with my outfit, and they weren't too hard to walk in either, I was in so much pain wearing them. In hindsight, I probably should have asked to go in the accessible entrance because I do have a chronic pain condition, but I didn't, and I went through the turnstiles, and the amount of stairs to get up to the nosebleeds was very challenging, especially in those shoes. So if you do have any sort of accessibility issues, definitely ask to go through an accessible entrance. So I was already in pain walking from the bus stop to the stadium, even though that was only about 10-15 minutes. And even though we got in the arena very quickly, then walking up all those stairs was exhausting and very painful. So I then just had to sit in my seat for a while, just in pain, which wasn't very enjoyable. It is also another reason that prevented me from trading bracelets so early on as well. And then even in seated, people are obviously going to stand up when Taylor comes on. So people were stood up for the entirety of Taylor, which means that I also had to stand up then for when I wanted to see her. And I was in so much pain in these shoes. I could not imagine what I would have been like if I was standing. I don't think I would have been able to fully enjoy the show at all. So I know that heels or other uncomfortable shoes, like I saw a lot of people wear cowboy boots, I think they look amazing with the outfit, but just think about what you're going to be comfortable in for the concert. Taylor is on for 3 hours, and obviously you've got Paramore before that as well, which are an amazing support act. So I would just think about your comfort and your enjoyment levels, and you don't want anything that's going to hinder that at all. It also made getting home a really difficult experience because waiting in the queue for the bus when I was in that much pain was so challenging, and I actually ended up walking through the streets of Liverpool with no shoes on because I needed to take the heels off even just to walk back to the hotel. So if you take anything from this video, please, please, please wear comfy shoes. My next bit of advice is that if you've got an opportunity to go and see Taylor by yourself, don't be afraid and just take it. There were 2 people near me who both came alone, and they seemed quite anxious to begin with, but I had a chat with them, we were trading bracelets, and they still had a really good time even though they were alone. Although some people aren't the best, the Swiftie community generally are really lovely, and you can just get to know people who you're sat or stood around, and it's just really lovely. I wouldn't pass up on the opportunity to see one of my favourite artists just because there's only single seats left or I've got nobody to go with. The next one is kind of obvious, but that's stay hydrated. When we got to the stadium, we bought a bottle of Coke and a bottle of water, and that came to £6, so it wasn't as bad as I thought it was going to be. I downed the Coke really quickly, but didn't actually end up opening the water bottle. until like 3/4 of the way through Taylor's show. I didn't feel thirsty, but then as soon as I had my first sip of water, I was like, oh my gosh, I am dying of dehydration. And then when I actually got out of the concert, I started feeling quite sick and hot, and I think it was primarily due to dehydration. So please make sure you stay hydrated. It is so important. You don't want to be feeling poorly, and especially if you're stood and you're in that really crowded area, you do not want to be passing out. I'd much rather have to leave to go to the toilet than to feel poorly during the show. Which works well going on to my next point, which is don't be scared to go to the toilet. I obviously can't say this from a standing point of view because I was seated, but I was a bit nervous to go to the toilet in case I was going to miss anything. But I planned my toilet breaks quite well, so I got there quite early and went to the toilet before Paramore came on, and then as soon as Paramore left, I then went to the toilet again just in case. Because Taylor is on for 3 hours, and that is a long time if you need a wee. The toilet queues did actually go pretty fast. I think a good thing about the show being in football arenas is that there are so many toilets, so it didn't feel like the queue was ever like really long. And also people were trading friendship bracelets in the queue, which I just thought was really nice as well. If you're worried about missing Taylor, as soon as you hear Applause come on by Lady Gaga, that's when, after that song is when the countdown starts. So if you're in the toilet queue and you're really far behind and you don't really need a wee, then you know that you can just run if you hear Applause. But honestly, I'm so glad that I did not feel the need to go to the toilet at all during the concert, and especially after the concert as well. The fact that I was able to wait until I got back to the hotel just really relieved me, because I liked just being able to escape the crowd quickly rather than having to queue again for the toilet. Obviously, I can't really mention about what it's like for standing because I was not standing, but definitely if you're seated, do not be afraid, because you do not want to ruin your experience by being uncomfortable in any way. My next tip is to film your reactions to things, but especially the surprise songs. I wish I did this a little bit more, but I filmed my reaction to the surprise songs and I am so glad I did. Our guitar surprise song was a mashup, which Taylor called the murder mashup, and it was Carolina and Nobody No Crime. This mashup was just incredible, especially Carolina. It's one of my favourite songs of hers, and it's actually what got me to read Where the Crawdads Sing by Delia Owens, which is a book that I absolutely love because it is based off that book, and she actually did that song for the soundtrack for the film. So when I heard it live, I absolutely lost it. And I'm so glad I filmed my reaction to it, because I love just watching it back and smiling at how happy I was, how emotional I was, and it just makes me feel great watching that back.
I'm gonna call this the murder mashup.
Murder mashup?
I know who it is.
Is it actually?
So I would definitely film reactions. My partner also filmed my reaction to Applause ending and the countdown starting, and it was really embarrassing because I just burst into tears. I was trying so hard not to cry, but I was so excited that I just burst into tears. But I honestly don't even care that it was embarrassing, because when I look back at that video, it makes me so happy to see myself that happy and excited for something. So yeah, definitely film your reactions to things. Along the same lines of filming, if you are going with your partner or a friend or someone who isn't as big of a Taylor fan, I would ask them really nicely to film some stuff for you. So I went with my partner and he likes Taylor's music, but he's not obsessed like I am. So I actually asked him to film quite a lot for me so then I wasn't constantly on my phone. I really appreciated this because in the videos that I got, I'm shaking quite a lot, so you can't really see Taylor as well, but in the videos he got, he's very steady-handed. And also it just means that you can be more in the moment then as well and just enjoy the concert whilst you're there, and then have some good quality videos and photos to look back on later that weren't filmed by you. I know that's not possible for everyone, but I really appreciated it, so I wouldn't be afraid to ask whoever you're with to film for you if they're not as big of a fan as you. And my last point that I'm going to bring up is, if you are seated, do not be afraid to sit down on occasions. So obviously I mentioned before that I was in quite a lot of pain because I wore heels and because I have a chronic pain condition, but I kind of decided to choose certain songs where I would sit down for a bit, and then so it basically meant that I could be stood up for the songs that I really wanted to stand up and dance for. I also made sure that during the transitions between eras I would sit down to give myself a break. I just found it really important to make sure that I had these breaks, so then I was as right and ready for the songs that I wanted to be as much as possible. You're not going to enjoy the experience as much if you are in a lot of pain and if you are really tired. So when you have the opportunity to sit down, if you don't like a song as much, or even just during the transitions between eras, then I would definitely sit down and give yourself an opportunity to rest, rehydrate, and then you can get up and enjoy yourself when the next era starts or when one of your favourite songs comes on. I didn't sit down too much. I would pretty much only sit down if there was a song that I wasn't a huge fan of, but I definitely sat down in transitions between each era, and I'm so glad I did because I don't know how I would have stood up for some of my favourite songs otherwise. An example of this is I sat down during We Are Never Ever Getting Back Together purposely so that I could be stood up for the whole of the All Too Well 10-minute version. Although I do like We Are Never Ever Get Back Together, I like all of Taylor's songs, but with every artist there's some songs that you prefer over others, and I just wanted to make sure that I prioritised me being as ready for the songs that I love as much as possible. So that was my experience at the Eras tour. I really hope that if you are going to see Taylor soon that you enjoy yourselves, and that hopefully this video has been useful in one way or another. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you later.